My name is Alexis.
Hi, I'm Ivana.
And I'm Miriam.
I'm Eliani.
And we are presenting how
storytelling and poetry can be used to promote play in an early childhood classroom.
Combining literacy and play in the curriculum can be beneficial in many ways. Through our research, we have found that play can be useful for building both literacy and social skills, as well as introducing children to technology and learning to cope with anxiety.
My article was Supporting Literacy and Digital Literacy Development and Early Childhood Education Using the Storytelling Activities.
My article was It's Like Playing, but Learning, Supporting Early Literacy Through Responsive Play with Wordless Picture Books.
Mine was using a narrative and play-based activity to promote low-income preschoolers' oral language, emergent literacy, and social competence.
My first article was the effect of storytelling in a play therapy on anxiety levels in preschool children during hospitalization. And the second was kindergartner scores, storytelling, executive function, and motivation improved through literacy-rich guided play.
Okay, so for my article, I found out that the use of digital method was more effective compared to a regular literacy curriculum. But research conducted, they were using 3 kindergarten classrooms. One was a regular kindergarten curriculum. The second was an oral literacy curriculum, and the third was a digital storytelling curriculum. And from the results, the researchers found that the group who used the digital storytelling had better results compared to the peers in the other classrooms. The goal was to show that the use of technology can be beneficial, and especially nowadays where technology is becoming more and more used. They were using interactive games that allowed the children to work one-on-one at their own pace, as well as you could get like a smart board and create a group activity where you could have kids volunteer as a group one and being interactive for them to learn as well.
My article was about how picture books can be used in the classroom setting for both play and literacy. Students are given the chance to be creative and social by telling stories of their own, which allowed many bonding experiences. The activities in my article took place in a read and response center, which was an area in the class that allowed students to play quietly with each other using the wordless picture books to tell stories. Here we have the children playing in the center with a picture book along with their picture cutouts, which they use to enhance their storytelling experience. They would also draw their own interpretation from the book to share their understanding with their peers.
My article was about including storytelling and story acting in a classroom to promote critical dimensions of young children's school readiness. The study was done with 216 low-income preschoolers with 6 experimental and 7 control classrooms. Storytelling and acting were included in the classroom for years. Participated in the experimental room improved in oral language, narrative comprehension, emergent literacy, print and word awareness, social competence, self-awareness, reduced play disruption, and pretend abilities. Their goal was to include STSA into a classroom to improve oral language skills, emergent literacy, and social competence. Their activity includes storytelling at a center inside a classroom, having the teacher become a storyteller and proceed to write down word to word the student story. Or the student can have them write it. Students will then choose characters that they would like to act and their classmates. Story acting will come into play when having group time, and the teacher will then read the story and have the students act it out.
This intervention was held to help reduce anxiety levels for young children in a stressful situation. Here, the stressful situation was being in a hospital. The intervention used an activity of storytelling with a play therapy in comparison to storytelling without any play to see which reduced the levels of anxiety in children. The experimental group were allowed to play while the story was being told to them, and they were allowed to use play in order to retell the story, while the control group were not allowed to play during storytelling time and were only allowed to verbally retell the story. Measurements were taken by having all 30 preschool participants take the Spence Children's Anxiety Scale as a pretest and a post-test. This intervention results showed that play during storytelling and used to retell a story, it reduces the anxiety levels in children. Pictured above, we have an example of children in a hospital being read a story to. And below you have examples of both groups, the experimental on the left using play during storytelling time and to retell the story, and then the control on the right where the child is only verbally retelling the story. And on the far right, you will find an example of the Spence Children's Anxiety Scale. Lastly, we have an intervention that used an activity to explore the effects of literacy-rich play on kindergarten students' literacy performance and their behavior. In the activity, the experimental group and the control group both received the same age-appropriate literacy plans. The control group used a teacher-given activity after the lesson in order to practice their learnings, whereas the experimental group learned the teacher activity once, but then were asked to invent their own game in order to, with their choice of materials, to practice their learnings. The results showed significant academic advances in storytelling skills, the use of vocabulary, and executive functions for children in the experimental group. Pictured here, you will have both groups of materials. On the left, you will have materials that the children were allowed to choose from to invent their own game. And then on the right, you will see the picture of the preset materials from the teacher-given activity.
So these are references from our articles.
And that's all.
That is all. Sweet. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.